and I breathed you in, and I fell again. I can see the end. Here I am now, I transcend. I want you to know I see who you are, and I'm letting go. You were everywhere, in my everything. I don't need you now. I was searching for answers, they were there all the time, but I just couldn't see them. In my heart I was blind. I believed in your story, now I know it wasn't true. And I see who I am now, and I know what to do. And I'm breathing in, and I'll start again. I want you to know I see who you are, and I'm letting go. You were everywhere, in my everything. I don't need you now. Just turn around and go. I can't do this anymore. I want you to know I see who you are, and I'm letting go. You were everywhere, in my everything. I don't need you now. I want you to know that I let you go. I want you to know I see who you are, and I'm letting go. You were everywhere, in my everything. I don't need you now. I want you to know I see who you are, and I'm letting go. I want you to know.
Hello, greetings. How's it going, Stuart, Patty, Dan? How well am I saying that correctly? I'm not sure. Sorry if I butchered that. Mr. Charles, Greg, Sheila, welcome everybody. Will, we got some people coming in, or Kim, you're taking care of that, right? So make sure that we're getting the people in. Welcome everybody. I'm glad to see that you guys didn't just run off from yesterday's stream. So you got 43 people here on Zoom. We got Facebook going. We got LinkedIn, YouTube. Yeah, we got a lot of familiar faces. We got some new faces. So I'd love to know where you guys are calling in from. If you could, in the chat box, please, if you could just type in where you're coming in from? North Carolina in the house. Some Patty's coming from Mexico today. Awesome. Colorado Springs, Iowa, Minnesota, Illinois. West Virginia. Awesome. So the United States is showing up today. London, Poland. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, it's great to see you, beautiful people. You got Stuart, UK. Can you guys hear me clearly?
Very
Awesome.
clear.
Perfect. This mic's doing its job then. Okay, cool. Well, as you guys are coming in, just want to ask you guys if you could really quickly, I'm gonna drop Kim, can you drop the link? It's gonna be bit.ly/onboarding call in the chat. I'm gonna ask you guys if you could share it with a few friends, just a couple of people, just so we can start to expand the group and expand our reach. And if you're watching from Facebook or YouTube, just go ahead and reshare the stream. We got a really interesting, it's not planned at all, but every single time it's interesting. I'm sure it's some of the people here that have been here since what is it? Today's what, day 10? Day 10 or day 9? Day 10. We've got people literally coming in every single day. And they're getting something new every single time. And we got an amazing lineup today. If you weren't here yesterday, well, you're in for a surprise. And so I'm just going to open up the call by saying, when we started 10 days ago, we had a completely different, I guess you could say, structure without a structure. We really were trying to focus more on the financial piece and give you guys something to really be able to create that security, make a little bit of money here and there. Like Jamie says, put a little bit of money in your piggy banks, so that way you can actually realize that that's not what you're looking for. And I'm coming from a place of great conviction because I've done it all. I've been in the top 1% of every company I've been a part of since 2013. Before that, I was in the car exporting business. I hit my first 6 figures at 18 years of age. So I had the money, the time, I had the girls, I had it all. And what I realized was that none of that actually fulfilled me. And the ultimate goal of what we were doing here at Incomation is to really give you guys freedom, not just financially, but within. The financial piece, like Jamie always says, is like the cherry on top. It's that comes second. And we made like a literally last second, I guess you could say, executive decision where we really want to focus on bringing the I am divinity to you guys so you can really experience what it feels like to be free, to be your authentic self, to be your whole full self. And so before I introduce Mr. Jamie, what I want to just convey to you guys is there's only ever two choices in life. There's the God choice, and there's the choice of the ego. And I really want you guys to digest that. There's only two choices ever in life: the God choice and the choice of the ego. And so you're making a choice right now to be here, to be here, to be here fully present. And we have 5 people in the waiting room. And so you made this choice, And things are going to come up. You might get triggered by a lot of the stuff you might hear. But what I want you to understand is that is the ego coming up to keep you from really having that breakthrough that you've been looking for your entire life. Some of you have gone 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years looking for this, and it's slapping you right in the face. You've been here maybe 10 days. Why do you think you're still here? It's because you're making that choice. And so I really want you to be here and to continue to make that choice, but to actually commit to it. And like Don says, to actually have this breakthrough, there's 4 components. You need
Dear
to have
Father in heaven, we're
courage.
thankful for all that we have. We thank you for our many blessings.
You need to have the courage. You need to have the honesty. You need to be open. And you need to have the willingness to actually go through and fully commit. So without a further ado, what I would like to do is bring on our CEO, Mr. Jamie Devine. He doesn't need an introduction, but what I'm going to say is this man has completely shifted my life personally. Before this, I didn't know what purpose was. I thought that the purpose was chasing the dollars and getting some money in my piggy bank to get the girls, to travel, to do all that. And it all left me empty. And now I truly understand why I am here and why I incarnated here. And so I really hope that you guys take what he says to heart, be open, because, like I said, this could completely change your life. So, Mr. Jamie.
Thank you, Sam. Wow. You're still here. Day 10. Amazing. I'm going to shift this a little. Well, great to see you. We have another special guest in the house, Mr. Don Smith, who will be coming on shortly. And as Sam mentioned, and as we've been repeating over and over for these last few calls, that if anything, money, relationship, your children, anything is above that choice of putting divinity number 1, the ego is going to use it against you. It's going to find your weakness and it's going to rip you apart. And I know that from a position of strength. For the last 4 years, I've been on this journey, and that's after I went through Don's program. So let me tell you about before Don's program. 13 years old, became an entrepreneur. I was the oldest of 4 children. My mom was a single mom. My father passed away when I was 2 from drugs. My stepdad was abusive on all levels. My mom constantly chose abusers to bring into our family. And it was just this toxic cycle over and over again. And by 13 years old, I had enough of it. And I made a decision that no one else was going to take care of me. I needed to figure it out. And I went for the money. That was the answer at that time. The answer that many of you have showed up on this call, you've been living for decades, and maybe it's still in your mind, in your ego, is the answer for you. But I can tell you, putting my whole heart and soul into the financial realm, entrepreneur at 13, dropped out of school at 16 because I had a successful business, made the millions of dollars, lost the millions of dollars, had all the addictions. I love what Jim Carrey says. He says he hopes everyone gets rich and famous so that they can find out that that's not the answer. So put a 7 in the chat if you know that money alone is not the answer. Thank you, Gina. Powell, 77777. Love it. Patricia, Christian, Vanessa, Greg. Wow, amazing, amazing. Thank you for your honesty and your courage. You definitely wouldn't have made it this far with us if you didn't already know that to be true. Marty, great to see you, buddy. Yeah, I mean, how many of us have chased that? And no matter what height you get to, Don will share a few stories with you in a minute. He's worked with many, many multi-billionaires. Multi-billionaires. What many of you in the financial realm are chasing, the millionaire or the billionaire. The billionaire is like, you can't go much further than that right now in the financial realm. And they were all coming to him because they knew at the highest level that was not the answer. So yes, we have built a financial system for our community. Yes, we do have a place that you can put your money. There's a trading team that's had decades of experience in the institutional realm because every single person in the retail is just out to scam you. Put a 0 in the chat if you've been scammed by a crypto pump and dump Ponzi, Forex robot, greatest thing since the internet. Yeah, thank you, Harold, Marty, Powell. If you've been trying to make money for more than a year, I'm sure you've experienced getting taken from. Yeah, exactly. Now, here's an interesting stat. Hey, Will or Kim, can you throw up the consciousness chart real quick? Wow, that was fast. You guys are on it. Okay, so this was developed by Dr. David Hawkins. And yeah, I'm super impressed still. Nice job, boys. So Dr. Hawkins, he many years of research developed this chart of consciousness, and this is just to help you intellectually understand. Because at the higher levels, it's beyond the intellect. You can't understand it unless you go beyond the intellect. Which again, just like money, the intellect has been made the god. Right? Like how many books and how many years of university, and the intellect is, I mean, that's what everyone's chasing. And the guys at the highest level, the Elon Musks of the world, are at that level of 400 where the intellect maxes out. Now, the interesting thing is that 85% of the world's population is under that level of 200 out of 1,000. And truth begins at the level of 200. So if you're under 200, not only can you not discern between truth and falsehood, but there's no way to operate from integrity. So imagine 85% of the financial programs, companies, whatever, are led by people under 200. How are you expecting any integrity? How are you expecting any truth? You can't. Now, shout out to America, a lot of Americans on the call. And the reason why we are streaming, especially to America and Americans, is out of the entire world, your country is actually the highest on this scale. So 49% of Americans are below 200. And the average of the country is in the 400 range, which again is the intellect. So what we're helping you to experience, what Sam was talking about, is that true freedom. And the only way to experience that is beyond the intellect. And Don will be able to show you exactly what those moments were in your life. And his program has the only process in the world right now that can help you not only experience that moment, but lock it in and live from that place 24/7. because that's who you truly are. Now, Dr. Hawkins, we were just watching a past interview from him, and he mentioned that there was only at that time a half a dozen that were 600 or over in the entire world. And I know that I've experienced 1,000 multiple times being with Don, and my absolute ultimate goal, my number one focus, is going to 1,000 and holding it for the entire world. Don got this mountain peak land where we're building these bamboo huts right now and going total monk mode. And I told him, if absolutely no one in the community wants to follow us on this journey, I'm okay with that. Like, because it has to be number two. The entire business, the entire community, everything needs to be number two, all the financial programs. And the ironic thing is, when you're in that place of who you truly are and the ego's not constantly messing with you, and you're able to discern truth, and you're able to live with full integrity, then all of those number twos, be it your relationship or the financial systems, they work at that healthy, integrous level. But it has to be number one. You have to put the divinity number one. And that's why we've made the decision to put it number one in our community. And so we know many people are going to run away from our community that are under 200 and looking for the next crypto pump and dump that they can scam and be scammed and live from that level of no integrity. But for those of you that are still with us, man, I'm excited because you haven't shied away from it. So I'm going to bring Don on. Before I do, just to see where you're at, because as we discussed, we can't water anything down to share where anyone else is at. We need to just share where we're at and trust that the right ones resonate and come on this journey with us. So put a 1,000 in the chat if you're also committed to putting divinity number one and going through the transformation that we've been talking about. 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. How many? It keeps going. Wow. Wow. Dr. Hawkins figured out there only needs to be one person in the world at 1,000 to completely impact the entire planet. And we have how many of you on here committing to that? And we have the only person in the world right now that actually has a process for you to be able to duplicate and follow into it. There are a few great sages in the world right now, but every single one of them doesn't have a process that you can go through because they landed there unconsciously. They don't know how they did it. But Don has spent decades reverse engineering and breaking this down and using himself, of course, as the guinea pig, but then thousands of other people that he's been able to trial and error and get to this place now of where he's at to be able to help us get there too. There's no one else that has that. So I'm not going to waste any more time because he may be going back to the mountain hideaway in a few hours here. So
Jamie,
yes, Dan.
what you just said can be tested by this scale too. is he the only one? We can test that. And I'm sure you have.
Yes. Actually, Dan, Don doesn't even know this, because in order to do these tests that Dan is talking about with kinesiology, to actually test truth versus falsehood, you have to have no intellect involved. And so not even Don could know what I was testing, so that his own intellect wouldn't interfere. And just before this broadcast, I tested where Don was at.
I know.
And yeah, all I said to him is keep doing what you're doing, because it's working. So I didn't test it comparatively to anyone else, because as I said, if there are a few, none of them are coming on to the public and sharing a process that you can go through to get there. They're just in the mountains and you don't even know their name. So what a gift. And I'm going to bring up Don now.
Thanks, bud. Hi, everyone. Once again, it's a pleasure to have an opportunity to share what's been going on for me personally, and what's been going on with clients that I'm working with. And it's exciting and overwhelming at the same time, because at the levels that I'm working at, it's pretty intense, to say the least. So, I was thinking of a few different things, and yes, I do have this mountain that I purchased in here in the Philippines, and right off the bat, it's like it's Divinity Mountain, and I went to the local mayor, and what happened was that some of the ones that were around me, like, knew the mayor, and so it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and this card who said, "Yeah, I got a meeting with the mayor for you, Don." Oh, great. When's that? 6 o'clock today. And so went and met with the mayor. I said, I just want one thing. And she said, "Oh, what's that?" I said, "I want this mountain to be officially called Divinity Mountain." She said, "It's yours, Don." So it's Divinity Mountain. And we already built one bamboo hut, not a bamboo hut, a bamboo house, actually. And yeah, I'm just already starting the second, third, and fourth, and fifth, where they're going to be and what they're going to look like or whatever. So pretty exciting, because it's actually, Jamie mentioned it yesterday, it's on many days it's above the clouds. It's literally above the clouds. And so pretty exciting, to say the least. And a lot of things just automatically happening, like, they're putting these power lines in on the other side, and they have all this heavy equipment. And so they just said, "Yeah, you can have, we're going to do this road for you, Dom, because the equipment is here, and we'll fix the road for you. Won't cost you anything." Like, okay. So it's that kind of thing. Anyway, there's I'll be back and forth with at different levels here, but one of the things that stands out from my work is the metaphor of Leonardo da Vinci and the statue of David, of which I personally saw in uh, in Italy. And so when he was asked, like, how did you create such a magnificent statue? He said, oh, it was simple. All I did was carve away all the marble that wasn't David. And that is what I do with people, is I carve away all of the bullshit, all of the beliefs, both negative and positive. Now, that's a hard one to digest for some that have spent years upon years in the personal development, because that's what they're doing. They're going from the negative beliefs of who they think they are to the positive beliefs of who they think they are. And both are an illusion. Both are a complete illusion. What I'm talking about is the knowing of who we truly are. That's what I'm talking about. And that's the truth of who you are. And to be able to live in that state, even temporarily, has been amazing. But I've opened some pretty big doors, pushing, forcing. Say, I'm not satisfied. I'm not satisfied. I'm just not satisfied. So come on, guys, give me. Come on. And I'm talking to the divine beings on the other side. It's like, I'm not, listen, I'm not satisfied. So let's get going here. And because my ultimate goal, whether it's just me by myself or 10 or 10,000, is to raise humanity's consciousness to 700. And that's what I'm here to do. I'll do whatever it takes. I will do whatever it takes for that outcome to take place. And to have, the Jamies and the Sams and the Wills and the Giancarlos and the Tims and the Eves and all of those that are gathering around and being a part of this whatever that word might be, certainly vision for sure. And there was a guy on that Jamie showed me here a little while ago, and he was talking about this guy that, this darkness, how they're going to eliminate a lot of humanity. And I'm saying, no effing way are you going to do that. And I started down that road, just, I'm going to stop you, buddy. And then I realized, no, that's not how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, but not that way. And so it's pretty exciting. And there's a couple of guys on the call that have already taken my process and a while ago. And there's one thing to get that amazing experience of that complete and total transformation and the purity of it. And then hold it. And then hold it. That's the biggest thing, is to be able to hold it. And I've got stories upon stories upon stories of ones, like I just watched a video here about 3 weeks ago of myself. And I don't even remember this happening. But it was this lady, and it was in the Philippines. And she had her mother was 77. Oh, and by the way, my sweetheart wife, Filipino wife, her grandmother died today, and she's 120. And I got to meet with her about 3 weeks, a month ago. 120. She was the oldest centenarian that I've met. I think I'm up to about 10 centenarians, but she was the oldest. And so she passed away today. But it was really neat. I have a picture of me with her about 3 weeks, a month ago. And it was like, yeah, wow. It was such a blessing. And, people ask me, like, how do people respond or react to you or whatever? And here's an example. There was a lady, I was standing in the shopping mall at an ATM waiting my turn. And this lady came along, and she was in a wheelchair, pushed by her daughter. And she came right to me. And anytime like that, whether it's a little child or someone like that, I'll go out of my way to initiate a conversation. And so I did with her. And I kind of shook her hand and asked her name. And of course, on that side, they were speaking Filipino and I'm speaking English and all of that. And then what happened was, and it turned out that in 3 days, she was going to be 94. And I held her hand, like, kind of shaking her hand. And she wouldn't let go. She wouldn't let go of my hand. And it took her daughter about 15, 20 minutes to get her to let go of my hand. And that's the same with these little kids. They'll come running to me. Like, there's a village where my wife lives, and there's 3 or 4 or 5 family members, or 8, 10, something like that. And there's these little kids coming, and they're calling me daddy, and coming and running and jumping into my arms. And it's like, oh my, wow, because there's no filters. There's no filters there's just this purity and this innocence. And that is so, so, so beautiful. And, on another note, like my grandson, Gretzky, lives in Vancouver with my son. And I was there in June. And Trevor kept him at a school that morning because I was leaving. And so we went Stanley Park, going through the walk through Stanley Park. And the last time I was in Vancouver was 2.5 years earlier. Anyway, we're walking along, and Gretzky says, "Hey, Grampy, listen, here's the deal." He's 11. He's 12 today, actually. And 11, he says, "Yeah, no more than 2 years. Yeah, you got to come in here no more than 2 years." Okay, Gretzky, we got a deal. And so it's like recognizing this energy that we all have access to. And the difference is all of these things, these beliefs, both negative and positive, that stop us. And so I'm going to use a couple of metaphors here just to give you an idea. Like, how many of you know the color of your eyes? How many of you know the color of your eyes? Okay. Now, my next question is, how long have they been that color? Isn't that it? Like a simple question. How long have your eyes been that color? My eyes are blue. They've always been blue. My next question is, how much effort has it taken to have your eyes, in my case, blue? Zero. Well, guess what? Your divinity is supposed to be like that. That's it. Like, this is my divinity. In this case, blue eyes. How long have they been blue? Since birth. And how much effort has it taken? Zero. That's the way it's supposed to be with us being in our divinity. Like, got it? And so we've got all of these programs and patterns. And the biggest trap is that the negative and positive beliefs. Going from I'm not good enough to good enough. Not loved to I'm loved. I'm inadequate to I'm adequate. And we've got all of our money programs tied up in the worth program. That's where they're all coming from. And there is never, you can never satisfy that energy. It's impossible. And like Jamie had mentioned, like I work with, I think it's 8 billionaires. I think it's 8 that I work with, billionaires, multi-billion. And they have the same programs. I mean, the one guy that came to me, I was on the PGA, working with a Canadian golfer on the PGA. And he was really close friends with this billionaire who was a businessman, a Canadian businessman. And how it happened was, here I am working with this golfer who was just playing out his card because he had missed so many games because of injuries. So many games because of injuries that he was still able to play. And so what happened was he was hardly ever making the cut. He hardly ever made the cut. And then he took my program, and all of a sudden, he's in contention on the Saturday and Sunday. And this billionaire friend of his, what in the hell is going on with you? Like, what happened? Oh, there's this guy in Vancouver. He does this. I don't know what it is. I don't know how it works. All I know is it works. Okay. So I get this call. Yeah, I was talking to so-and-so in the golf, Ian Leggett was his name. And he said, yeah, can you deal with this? Yeah. How about this? Yeah. How about this and this? No problem. Okay. I got this. It's been going on for 15 years. Can you deal with this? No problem, man. Okay. What's the cost when we start? That was it. It's like, okay, I'm flying out to Vancouver. I'll be there Saturday. And it just took off from there. And then he started telling all his buddies, because these stories were like simply crazy, amazing things that they had never heard of before. I mean, I work with one of the top doctors in Canada, one of the top doctors, and he was part of that inner circle when you get at those levels. And he was in Uganda, or like some of those in the war-torn places. And once he walked out of where they were, he was doing all the surgeries and whatever, and walked out to go to the bathroom and come back, and everybody was already shot. And anyway, he ended up, he had knee surgery, and he had 5 of them. And he was going for his 6th one, 6th knee replacement surgery. And he took my program, and a week later he canceled it because he didn't need it. Like, and so all these stories just started coming out. And what I'm saying to you is, there's these programs, whether they're physical, like the knee replacement surgery, or the emotional ones or whatever. They're like, I had one doctor had 5 different types of cancer over 25 years. Never was without cancer. This doctor, she took my program and 3 weeks later, there's no cancer. Like, she found it so hard to even accept the possibility that it already had happened. And so what's neat about this is, like Jamie mentioned, like it bypasses the intellect. It's got nothing to do with intellect. Matter of fact, it's the intellect that's causing the problems. and so that, going from a not good enough to not loved to inferior to superior. No, those are external beliefs at an identity level of who you think you are. And that is not who you are. And so that's why these don't last. And that's why there's these pieces come up and they just don't hold. They just don't hold. And there's a few on the call that, like there's these crazy stories, like I could go on, but one was this 32 years. She was 32. And she had spent more time in the hospital in the last year than out. And somebody knew her and spent, I think it was a week, trying to convince me to work with this lady. And she was as frail could be. And finally, I conceded, okay, I'll do this. And where I was staying at the time, I was in a house in Coquitlam, and so we met there because she was so frail, you couldn't go anywhere. And so we worked together. It was 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 20 minutes. And I said to her, name was Janessa, when we were finished. So Janessa, well, notice anything different? She said, oh my God, it's gone. I said, what's gone? I had a ball the size of my fist on my stomach wall. And she went like this, lifted up her blouse and said, look, it's gone. I didn't even know she had it. And then, like, it was like this, in the next year, she went to the hospital once for 1 day for tests. How crazy is that? Not to mention how much money the medical system is making over, And but coming back to that first story, it was a lady, and she was 77, and her daughter wanted me to go see her. This was this video that I saw of me that I couldn't even remember. She said, yeah, Don, I want you to come see my mom. I said, no. Like, for what? Well, she's got all these physical symptoms. I said, well, I don't deal with physical symptoms. I align the system. She said, no, Don, just come with me. Okay. So I went. So she was 77. That's all I knew about her. Didn't know any of the symptoms. Didn't know anything. We walked in and there was music on. She was sitting on a chair and I just went over, stood her up and started dancing with her. And all of a sudden, she started laughing. And then she started telling me these things. And then I did this, whatever I did. Don't remember what I did. All I know is we danced. And as we were dancing, I was talking to her. And what had happened, to give you an idea of how these things get piled up in our system. when she was 10, she was walking on the road with her 6-year-old brother. He died with her holding his hand. Nothing happened. There was no car accident or anything. He just died. The mother and father came along and blamed her for doing it. That was at 10. And she carried that for 67 years. And in 20 minutes, it was gone. Now, like, doesn't that make sense that you have this trauma that you're holding on to, whether it's this size or this size, and all this energy that's getting blocked in the system somewhere, and wherever it's getting blocked is where it is. There's something going on. And it's about identifying these programs. Because the alcoholism and the drug addictions and the sex addictions and the money addictions and all of that, they're all symptoms. And coming back to Leonardo da Vinci, when he was asked, how did he create such a magnificent statue? He said, oh, it was simple. All I did was carve away all the marble that wasn't David. That wasn't David. And that's what I do. I show you how to carve away all of the marble, all of the false identities, both negative and positive, of who you think you are. And most are going to stumble on that. And you know why? Because they've got this hold on this false identity. They've got this grip of this false identity of who they think they are. And they don't want to let it go. Because they have blinded themselves to the knowing of who they truly are. And this, you know, it's crazy sometimes how these things, like I was working with a guy, he had cancer. And they had 2 boys. One was 5 and the other was either 8 or 10. I think he was 10. And the 5-year-old had Rubinstein-Tabby syndrome. Now, I never even heard of Rubinstein-Tabby syndrome. And the mother asked me if I would work with him. I said, first of all, I don't work with kids. Second of all, I don't know what in the hell this, whatever that is. And it had to do with his talking, and he could only say 5 words. Yeah, it was 5 words. I was trying to remember whether it was 3 words or 5. So it was 5 words, and he only could, no, it was 3 words, sorry. And he could only sit for 5 seconds at a time. And he was just bouncing all over the place. So, Don, I said, okay, will you leave me alone if I do? Like, okay. I'm not promising anything. I don't know what I'm even going to say or do or whatever. Anyway, so I work with him. And interesting enough, he was so hyper all the time, like just like that. And he was in school at the same time. And every time I went there to see his father, all of a sudden, he would come running down and want to sit beside me. Anyway, so I did something with him. I did left and right hemispheres of the brain, and just creatively, just whatever. And then he went to school. But before that, after I worked with him, he sat beside his mom for 2 hours and 20 minutes as I worked with his dad. that could only sit for 5 seconds before that and recited the alphabet. like, like, is this ringing home about your symptoms, whatever they are? Physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, religious, like it doesn't matter. There's a misalignment from who you think you are to who you truly are. And that's what I do. And I find all of the bullshit out when I send you a questionnaire and you honestly answer that questionnaire. And that shows up what's going on. And coming back to the doctor that had 5 cancers over 25 years. And 3 weeks later, they were gone. And the last time I worked with her was about 3 months later or 6 months, something like that. And no sign of anything. And so that's the exciting thing. That's the exciting thing. And of course, one of the ones that the one that the guy in the walker, that friend of Jamie's and a couple of the a few others knew, and he was in a walker. He went from a wheelchair to a walker, and so I worked with him. And he was tough to work with because he was in such denial and all of those kind of things. Anyway, the next day, it's a video, I'm sure most of you have seen it, where he's walking in this park in his walker and throws the walker away and starts running in the field. Like, how is that possible? How is that possible? That's how powerful we are. And that's how much we're not using the power of who we truly are, our divinity. And that's what I do, is show you how to access your divinity. And it's the hopes that you will be willing, to let go of your attachment to who you're not, positive and negative, or negative and positive, so that you can experience the divinity of who you are and to hold it. And yes, there are some complications with that. And what the complications are is the absolute force that the ego will use, the trickery the ego will use to get you out of your light. And I have spent 44 years messing with trying to figure out the ego. And like Jamie said, I reverse engineered so many things, like a phobia. It took me 5 years to figure that out. 5 years to figure out how the phobia worked and how to reverse engineer it. And so, and that's just one piece. And so it hasn't been an easy road for me, because I'm on the front lines. I'm on the front lines with all of this, and what works and what doesn't work. And what didn't work for me, I just threw it in the garbage and kept purifying and purifying and purifying this process, using me as the guinea pig. And so, and of course, there was other guinea pigs along the way, but there's a couple of stories. They're very personal. And one of them was my second wife, Rosie, and she got cancer. And you know, she went to this doctor, this, let me just put it under the category of a quack. But anyway, just say a doctor, and was doing all this stuff, and Rosie, come on, like, you know more than you. Yes, you're wasting a bunch of your money, and you're definitely wasting your time, and it's definitely not working. And you might want to reconsider the process. Anyway, so finally she gave in, and I worked with her, and the change was staggering. And then her whole family just came in and just downplayed everything, and she went with them, and next thing you know, she died. And then the other one, it was 15 months later, my daughter got cancer. And you know, it was really tough because I knew what the cancer was about. I knew what was going on about it all. I knew the decision she was making. And she sided in with the other side of the family. And she died. So 15 months, I lost my wife and daughter. So it hasn't been the easiest road for Don Smith. That's for sure. And then I experimented with a lot of things. Like, for example, I was brought up strict Irish Catholic. You know, I was an altar boy for 8 years. And so I put it to the test. I went to Mass every day for a year. Every day for a year. I went to confession once a week for a whole year. Let's think about those. Went to communion, went to Mass, and so went to church, went to communion, and went to confession once a week. And at the end of it, the priest said, Don, it stretched at least to 2 weeks. Like, you're wasting your time, type thing. And so all of those were this searching for the answer that I found. And that road has led me to unpacking and unraveling things that I never knew even existed. And I trust that you will be open, for those of you that are here for the divinity side, to jump in with 2 feet. Jump in right with I'm doing this. Whatever it is. You know, like, imagine that lady that was 77 and for 67 years was carrying the message that it was her that killed her brother. Like, how crazy is that? And all of her symptoms, all through all of that time, 67 years, and multiple symptoms gone. Boom. I think it was 45 minutes. Now, let's go back to something. I want to explain something to you to get you out of your head for a sec. So, do you have a phobia, or do you know someone that has a phobia? Because now we're talking about, okay, how does this work? This guy is talking about speed here, that it's like takes longer to go to the doctor to find out what's wrong with you than to have it all gone. Okay, so, like, what's going on here? So let's go to the phobia. You know, do you have a phobia? And or do you know someone that does? Like I worked with a lady out of New York. She had the biggest platform of cosmetic products in the States. And I worked with her and her husband. Here's her words. Actually, it's on my website. I had 100 phobias. Think about that, 100 phobias. Okay, so like, that's pretty crazy. Would you agree? And so what it is like, okay, how does this phobia work? So the question is, how long did it take to create the phobia? Now there's somebody in this area of a person that I know that's not too far away where I'm at here now that had a phobia. Listen to this phobia. Okay, let's go with your logic for a sec. A phobia of seaweed. Imagine being terrified of seaweed going to kill you, because that's what a phobia is. Something's going to kill you, whether it's a butterfly or a squirrel. Okay, so you're going to die. You're going to die, and you're going to die that quick. That's what a phobia is. So my question to you, for those of you that have one or know someone that has one, here's the question. How long have you had the phobia? A week, a month, a year, 10 years, six generations? How long? Now the next question is, how long did it take to create it? Okay, because now we're talking about speed. We're talking about speed. When somebody's like, Don, like, how is that possible? How's that possible? You can do something that quick. Well, here it is. It's like, how long does it take to create a phobia? And for you that has one, I'll tell you, if you don't know the answer, 1 second. That's how long. So now tell me this. Let's use your logic for a moment to answer this next question. If it only took a second to create it, and somebody figured out how to reverse engineer a phobia, how long do you think it would take to reverse that phobia that took you a second to create? Anybody got that answer? Well, just in case you don't, 1 second. That's all it takes. And the rest of the time is figuring out what it's about, what it is, because it has to be specific. It's specific, it's not general. Okay? And imagine all of your drivenness to be rich. The drivenness, you know, this is my 8th marriage. This is my, 28th job that I can't keep. Or whatever that is. And what if that could be gone in 1 second? Because all of the time that I have to work with someone, be it one or a group, is getting you to see what I see. So you can make an informed decision about whether you want to be free or trapped in your life. Whether you want to be who you think you are or know who you truly are. And I'm telling you, It takes me 1 second to get rid of the programs that I show you you have. Now, how cool does that sound? And how ridiculous as far as logic. Especially those, like that lady, 67 years, carrying a trauma that she was blamed for killing her brother. And it was gone that fast. So that's what I'm talking about. You get to decide whether you want to keep your programs and patterns and all of those, or whether you want to be totally free and experience. Now listen to this. This is important. You need to find this answer for all the other ones to just collapse, which is this. Your very best moment, your most purest moment. And many, especially the women, especially, it's when they give birth, especially to their first child. Yes, I know there can be complications and all of those, and it's like holding that beautiful being for that short period of time. That is what we're looking for. That is what we're looking for. And that's not a belief. It's a knowing. And that's what this is about. Clearing away all of the garbage, all of the beliefs, both negative and positive, of who you think you are, and you're left with the knowing of who you truly are. And then holding that neurocellular muscle, strengthening it and strengthening it and strengthening it, so the ego can't get back in. Because it's going to fight, it's going to kick and scream, it's going to throw temper tantrums, it's going to do all of that. Yeah. And so that's why you need to be committed. If you're only half committed, like, forget it. It's not going to work. Wasting your time. It's like, no, I'm in. That's what I need. I'm in. Tell me what, Mo said. Tell me what I have to do, Don. I'll do it. So that's what I'm asking. That's what you need for this to work. So there you have it. I trust that gives you enough information to make a most informed decision about what's important in your life. And is it money? Or is it finding out who you truly are? You get to decide. Take care. Anybody got any questions? What's that? Unmute yourself if you have a question. I'm in. I want back, my friend. Where I can get your course. What? Yeah, Jamie, you can.
Okay. Holy shit, they're still here.
Surprise, surprise.
Wow. Well, that was a fire hose. So for those of you that have any questions for Don, just put up your hand and we'll call on you here. I see LK has a question. Go ahead, LK. Specifically for Don, if it's to do with onboarding, we'll do that on the next call.
Yeah, hey, Don, can you hear me?
Just wait. Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Don, I got a question, man. I mean, you're technique sounds so awesome. I've been through it. You were there the first time you had our group getting together with you. My
Okay.
question is, have you approached any politicians with your method of maybe? I know that's a high order, man.
Pull up the Al Gore picture. I'll send it to you.
Yeah. Actually, I did. Yeah, we got a picture here for you.
You can tell them the story though.
I was in I had a really good friend in Toronto, and he would bring in pretty big people, names, and one of the ones that that had an opportunity to do something with was Al Gore. So
Sent it to you on WhatsApp.
that's about as high as I got with politicians. There, yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, yeah. So
But
whether
can
it's,
you?
I'm
I
sorry.
was going to say, can you imagine if you could just get through to just a couple of the highest ones, starting maybe Trudeau. I'm thinking Biden's out of the. I mean, he's out of it. You ain't gonna be able to reach him.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're right. Uh, Politicians is a way for someone, because I've seen such dramatic, like waves of energy happen with all walks, whether it's a doctor or a billionaire or children or whatever. It's like it's pretty dramatic. And yes, politicians have a lot of power, and but I've only worked with a few because they don't seem to be as open.
And their egos are absolutely huge.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. But my gift is having someone feel safe enough with me to dissolve enough of the ego to do the work to get rid of all of the ego. So every one of them is a different strategy, and I've yet to be stuck with somebody other than they just don't want to do it. But if they're with me, I know what it is, and I will clean it up. It's that simple.
Thank you, Don.
Carlos asked where they can get the merchandise. I think he wants one of our purple pink suits. Yes, we will. We're actually working on finding a custom clothing place here in Philippines, so we'll share that with all of you, because we can't go. Imagine going into any mall and trying to find pink and purple in the men's section. It's near impossible. So,
well, we did have these made, Jamie and I, in Mexico.
Yeah, these were custom actually in Bali.
Oh, was it Bali?
Mm-hmm.
That's very okay. Yeah.
Okay, we have Jewel. Jewel has a question. Go ahead, Jewel.
Hey, Jamie and Don. Nice to see you. I think a lot of people I've been seeing on the comments, and myself as well, like, when and where can I attend Don's next whatever you call it, programming, whatever it is.
It's definitely a reprogramming, that's for sure.
Yeah, reprogram. Anti-program.
Forgive me, as I've not been able to keep up with everything, but I'd like to know when and where I can attend the next one. I am a pioneer, so I don't know if that gives me the opportunity.
Okay, awesome, Joel. So we did do a group, was it about a month ago or so?
Yeah,
about a month ago, and we recorded it all, so it's in the membership portal right now for anyone that can that has access to that. You can go through it, and then we'll have to schedule next couple of weeks or something.
Yeah,
we'll schedule it and put it out and email it to everyone when the next live one is. We'll do one in the next couple of weeks or so.
Okay, and I'll get that an email for that notification.
Yeah, we'll send it to all the channels, email, Telegram, Facebook group. We'll make sure you
Perfect.
get them.
All right, thank you.
Welcome. Okay. Is there any other hands? Well, I can't really see them here. Okay, thanks. Dan, go ahead.
So does this work with people below 200?
Works with anyone that's open.
Okay, that's really cool. So that is really cool.
Yeah.
That's almost unbelievable.
Yeah.
It does.
So is creating a phobia in 1 second to last 67 years.
The reason I'm
With
silent
zero
is because
training.
you just created the song in my mind, Sound of Silence.
Right. Exactly. So yes, that's it's imperative to have the open-minded, willing, honest, and
Courage.
the courage to look at whatever in the hell it is. Okay, whatever it is that you have to look at, and
well, what's really interesting is some of us feel vibrations like you can know which tree to hug. So I only had to go through 30 seconds of a presentation with yours when I knew this is truth. And so some can and some can't. I don't know how that doesn't work because everybody kind of think everybody, in a way thinks the way you think, but that ain't true. So I've been longing for this ever since I started doing this 30 years ago in my logical mind. And when I found it when in this vibration, it's like a bolt of lightning hit me, just 30 seconds.
right, yeah, it literally is that quick. Where the time is used up is putting the jigsaw puzzle together so that you can see the puzzle itself and how all the pieces are jumbled up and all of that. So that's what takes the time. But it's literally 1 second is dissolving it. I have reverse engineered near-death experiences and phobias and know how that works. And that's how I do it.
So why not put it into a computer and just send out a
Hey, there's some personal things that need to be.
I got you. I was trying to throw a little humor.
Yeah.
And one of the things Dr. Hawkins said, one of the highest level of enlightenments is humor. But you heard this, right?
I know about how awesome a sense of humor is when it's not used against somebody. And with honest,
Yeah, that's it right there.
yeah. So
We were working on a Dawn AI chatbot, so stay tuned. Just getting all the questions he has and put them into a chatbot. We're going to try and see if that would do it. DeMarco, you got a question? Go ahead.
There we are. Hey guys.
Oh, you're in the mountains? Are you? Is that picture in the mountains?
Oh yeah, the picture's in the mountains, but I'm on the staircase.
Oh, okay. Right.
It's
waiting for the skis to come.
Waiting for the hey Sam, how are you?
My brother.
Well, hey Jamie. What was that, Don? What did you ask?
Just a joke. It's fine.
Oh, well, I like to laugh too.
Waiting for your skis to come.
Oh, they're on their way.
Okay, good. So do you have a question?
I do have a question.
Throw it at me.
And this could be for you, and this could be for all three of you if you'd like to participate in an answer or a response to the question.
Throw it out.
What is the one thing that you wish more people knew about you that would make you be more understood?
Well, I'm sorry, but the thing is, the only way it can be understood is use metaphor. And that's the only thing. That's like what Christ used was metaphors, telling stories. Because none of this makes sense to the logical mind, and everybody's in their logical mind. And it's that simple. It's like, so whatever, like, imagine someone like that lady that's 77. Oh, and by the way, she had a stack of documents about that thick of all of her medical records, of how much she spent, time, money, and whatever, trying to resolve this. And it took 1 second. Who's going to believe that? But yet it only took a second for the mother and father to blame her, for her to take that on and hold it for 67 years.
I'm confused.
Okay.
Maybe I didn't ask clearly enough. What do you wish people understood about you?
That I'm full of integrity, and not one word I say is out of integrity. And it's one area that they can trust, no matter how many failures happen.
So I can chime in on this because I remember 4 years ago, before I went through Don's process, we had a couple conversations, and both times I did not understand a word this guy was saying. Like, it just sounded like pure Chinese. Like, I just didn't speak that language at all. But first of all, visually for me, he had this bright light when I walked in the room that is undescribable. For me at the time, I just saw it. And then I just knew, I didn't know what it was, and call it your heart or your soul, like, just knew that I needed what he had. So I didn't need to understand anything that he was saying or anything about him. I just saw it and knew it. But I was ready. I was in a lot of pain, and I was searching. And so I don't think we necessarily need the people that understand. We're looking for the ones that just know it to be true and are searching to fill that void.
So, great question. I think, like what Jamie was saying, it's not really about understanding nor trying to rationalize what is being said. With how I got introduced, I actually saw Jamie online, so I didn't even see him in person. We just met maybe 2 weeks ago in person, and I saw him on Instagram, and I had seen this light about him and a change, like it was just a profound change. And so when I did my process with Dawn, and I've never shared this with anyone actually. Not anyone, I've shared with a couple of people, but like not on here. So where Dawn actually took me was to 3 months of age. I didn't know it at the time. I thought it was actually I thought I made it up. And so I went to my mom, and I'm like, hey mom, like, I saw this moment in time. I was a baby. I was laying on my back, and my father hit me at 3 months of age. And she's like, how did you know that? She's like, you were literally 3 months. And so every single thing that had ever happened to me in my life, whether it's the digestive issues, whether it was being a survival, all of the things that I ever dealt with led up to that one moment. And this man, I had done transformational work. I mean, DeMarco, we did plant medicine together, right? Like, none of that stuff actually helped. Plant drugs. Yeah, plants that have drugs in them. So none of that actually ever got to the root issue. You know, the transformational work, the breath work, all of that was still so surface. And within, you know, one instant, I was able to remember something that was buried so deep within me. And so trying to rationalize that and think about that logically, you would never get to that point. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, as Don says, he needs to bypass the intellect. So I remember how strong my intellect was. And that's why when I asked him how I could prepare, he literally told me not to sleep. Like, imagine that. I thought he would tell me to read something like I was used to in all the traditional programs, something that I could feed my intellect. And he literally told me not to sleep so that my ego and intellect had no energy. It was disarmed. Like I was like going through his questions, barely awake. I'd stayed up all night the night before. So yeah, not going to get there intellectually.
And none of it will make sense other than like the piece I'm trying to say is like almost everybody either has a phobia or knows someone that does. And it's like, how long have you had it? How long did it take to create it? And just those two alone is enough to get somebody's attention about what we're talking about here. And it's like, you did that. You know, this man's talking about 3 months. 3 months. And it was in his nervous system. It wasn't in his intellect, it was in his nervous system. Okay? And so, and it's that tracing of that, to bypass all the intellectual reasoning and logic and all of those things. And so, and if we go any further, all that's going to do is dig a deeper hole. You know, coming back to your question, it's like, okay, can you see enough of my light to trust? No matter what it is, I don't care what it is. I don't care how. I know that there's something amazing is going to happen because I know 28 other people that it did and it worked. That's it. Anything more than that, and it's like, you know, like how often do you look in the mirror and ask yourself what color your eyes are? Like, how often do you do that? And why do you do that? Or why don't you not? You know, like, because it's not logical. And it's like, I'm telling you, man, it's this simple. You either trust me, you don't. And that's it. You either check me out, look at video, whatever, check this, check that. And if it's a check mark, yeah, I can trust this guy. Or no, it's a bunch of bullshit. Okay, that's your answer. It's that simple.
Transformwithdon.com. We have about 8 or 10 people that share their experience on there as well.
Like I'll give you one. There's like the song that you hear at the start and at the end. Guy's name is Tim Steinruck. Came to see me on December 31st, 2020. Okay? December 31st, 2020. Musician. And when we were finished, and he had taken a ton of programs, he had them all memorized. All memorized. And when he took it, Okay. When I lanced that emotional boil, he laughed hysterically for 20 minutes. Literally laughed hysterically for 20 solid minutes. Okay? Now tell him ahead of time that's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. So it's either you trust me or you don't. It's that simple.
Well, add a logical one. Right now, as I mentioned, Don's program's in the membership portal. And for the next 2 weeks, we're not even charging anything for it. It's literally free.
10 days now. It was 2 weeks of
10 days.
It's 2 weeks, like 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Don's about to slap me here. But talk about illogical or logical. We're not even asking for any money. We're literally just saying, hey, if you trust us and you feel this to be true, go into the membership portal and it's there for free right now. I don't know what else. Like,
we
what
charge
excuse?
$5,000 for it normally.
Yeah, just for ours, but his is more.
10,000.
Yeah. So we got another question. I think James. Go ahead, James.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, so I definitely would love to go through again. So just so that I understand the program that's in the portal, we can sort of just do it on our own time. Are you guys doing any more that are live? I feel like maybe I should not sleep for a couple of days because I think I'm in the same boat as you, Jamie. And even when we went through last time, my intellect was still grabbing a hold of me. And I mean, I felt amazing afterwards. I felt lighter by a long shot, but I don't know that we cut deep enough. So,
Actually, James,
my heart's
that's
pounding
not,
right now.
No, that wasn't it, bud. Okay.
Okay.
You had it all. And you fucking gave it up. Okay, that's
right.
what you did. You gave it up.
Right. I
that
agree
was
with
it.
you.
Okay. So you allow
agree.
your ego. And here's the difference. It's like, I want to be free. To be me.
I do.
Okay. No,
I do.
wait now, time. 2 or 3 or a month ago, whenever that was, there was something more important than you being free. It's that simple. Now, if you've gotten to the point of going back into pain, all that pain again,
yeah.
And now I want to be free of it, that may be enough for you to say I'm in.
Okay.
Got it? Because you had an unbelievably powerful transformation. James, I remember it very, very well.
I know you do, Don. I know you do.
Okay? So that's about, hey, do I want to stay in my shit? Or do I want to be in my light?
I want to be in my light.
Okay.
It is so heavy right now.
That's awesome, bud. Like put some lead in there to make it even heavier so that you can get convinced to make the decision to say I'm in.
Okay.
That's your homework.
All right. So is there a live deal? Or do I just go into the back office and knock this out on my own time?
We did do one without you 2 weeks after that first one. So there is one there for you. And we'll be doing a live in the next 2 weeks. We'll just figure out the details after.
Okay. All right, sweet. Well, I'm going to do everything I can to break my ego down in the meantime and knock the intellect down by a long shot.
Well, you know what? And rather than fighting with it, just recall how light you felt. That's all you do between now and then. That's it.
Okay.
No arguing, no analyzing, nothing.
Just remember.
Just feel that feeling.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll do my homework.
Okay, I'll be expecting it.
All right.
Welcome back,
Beautiful.
James.
Well,
Will,
thanks.
is there
Thanks,
anyone,
sir.
any other questions there?
That's James.
Who? Okay. Harold, you're next.
I guess Sheila's next.
Okay, Sheila, go ahead. I love Sheila.
Hey, fellas, how are you all? Listen,
Awesome.
y'all look like a singing group. Y'all should have like your name, like a boys group, you know? Yeah, have some moves. I am
Well, we got the
divinity.
moves. We got the moves. We're just waiting for the right time.
There you go. There you go. I love it. I love it. So my question to you, Don, is after you go through the process, I remember you mentioning that sometimes the ego tries to come and take over. Can you explain that process a little bit more?
Well, it's not some of the time. The ego is going to do it all the time. Okay.
Okay.
It's going to want to it's going to want to be back in total control over you. Okay. Because up until now, you've been giving it control over you. And it's not pleased at all. Okay. So it's like the whole thing is bursting that emotional bubble that has your trauma locked in. Other than that, doing any of this intellectually is an exercise in futility. Okay, it's not going to hold, you're not going to get it all, like all of those. And I'm not saying that to create hopelessness or whatever. I'm just saying, listen, you're going to try to do an intellectual thing. And it's not going to work. It's all I'm telling you. Okay, and what it is what Jamie said when he was in Mexico and I'm in Vancouver. Whatever this guy's going to tell me what to do, I'm doing it. That's what's needed. And even with that, he still gave it up 3 times. Okay? Even having one of the most powerful experiences of anyone, he still gave it up 3 times. Now that's the ego doing everything it can. And your job after the process and during the process is letting that ego energy go and holding on to your divine light. And the more that you can do that and strengthen that neurocellular muscle with a divine focus exercise, the more and completely turn your back on all of the ego energy that was there all those years. Just gone. Boom.
So this is what happened after I went through the process, the pre-recorded. I tried to tap back and just tried to go back into my memory to try to, I was doing a test, okay, just to make sure I was good. Let me just put that out there.
Wait now, Sheila.
Huh?
Just for a sec, that was your flaw right there. I'm going to test this.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's the ego. Let's test this to see how strong my light is. Is it stronger than my ego? That's what you
did. Okay, I did that. I own it. Okay.
Very good. Well said.
So when I did that, I couldn't tap back into it. Exactly. There was nothing. There was nothing. There was no feelings. There was no emotions. There was nothing. And I was blown away, Don. Like blown away.
Right. Well, the only thing missing, Sheila, is being able to hold that.
Yeah. Okay. I can hold it.
Yeah. So
wow.
It really is that simple. And all the intellect stuff is complicating. Okay. And And yes, the ego will play, like just keep playing on this and playing and trying to get any weakness you have. Let's say you're doubting yourself. Let's say you doubt you. That's going to be its number one card. It's going to use that against you to start doubting whether this worked or not. Did you get that, Sheila?
Yes, yes,
Got it?
yes, I got it.
So
I got
whatever
it.
you
But it worked. So it worked.
awesome. Way to go, girl.
I'm
Slip
so
into the
excited.
Philippines here and give me a hug.
Yes, let's do that.
So yes.
Thank you.
No, you need to know something, Sheila, and for everybody else listening. You are extremely, extremely powerful. Did you get that, Sheila?
I agree. Yes.
Now you remember that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, got it?
Got it.
Yeah. So that ego, turn your back. I have an exercise called divine focus. I don't usually give it out until we get through the getting the bursting the bubble, bursting the balloon, bursting all of the programs, okay? Of the negative beliefs and positive beliefs. That's the one where most people get tripped up. They get caught up in that the positive beliefs are positive. And they're not. They're who you think you are. And this is about identity. That's what it is. And if you're holding on to a victim identity or a not good enough identity or I'm a worthless identity or I'm not loved identity or any of them, guaranteed the ego is going to do everything it can to play on that. And yet, it's this simple. You go to that moment where you are just shining in light and you stay there. That's it.
I love shining, so I will definitely do that.
I'm counting on you, Sheila.
Great to see you, Sheila. Etienne, you got a question?
Yes. I went through the portal twice. I followed the recording.
The what?
And I went through the recording.
Okay, got it. Yep, got it.
And I both times I came out with one question. It's like we are looking for the only one cause, one source of our problem. Can we have many?
Well, they're usually all stacked on that one. Like the lady that had, like 28 binders of symptoms over 67 years, it all started with one, and it was all in an instant. So yeah, you'll have others, and the ego will try to get you to do each one separately. So it'll keep you busy for the next 36 lifetimes.
Okay, so if I understand well, if we try to find more causes or sources, it's the ego in play.
1000%.
Okay.
Okay, unless
that was my
yep. You missed the piece of the getting to the root cause. Okay, that's
okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Cola. Go ahead, Cola.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much for taking my call. You were answering a question for Sheila, and I want to clarify something that it seemed to me like you're saying there's no point in doing it a second time, because what happened to me, I went through it, and right when you started talking so low that with my volume all the way up and my headset in my ear, when you said close your eyes, I could not hear anything you were saying, the interaction you were going through with a gentleman that was going through it. Matter of fact, I didn't open my eyes until almost 2 minutes to the end, because I never even heard when you said you can open your eyes. So I couldn't find any other headgear to put on, and I said, okay, I got to do it again. So from what you're saying to Sheila, did I understand that you said there's no point doing it again? Although the first time when I did go through it, that moment when you don't even know how you did it, I got it. The moment and the other situations, less than favorable situations, I obviously there's quite a few. I did nail a couple, and I figured out why some of the underachievements were. So I got it all to that, but then once you start talking, going into the program, talking with that gentleman, your voice just totally dropped very low, and I, it's like a lot of times when I'm listening to Jamie, he speaks so low, I have to keep turning the volume up on down so that I get everything that he's saying. But I want to go back to it and go through the process again, make sure I got what you were saying in that period. It must have been about 10 or 12 minutes. It was so frustrating that I need to open my eyes throughout. So is it a problem to go back and do it again?
Well, you're not going to harm yourself. I've probably done it 2,000 times.
Okay.
Unpacking and unraveling, and why is that not working, and all of that. It's just that I've found the shortcut for you. So, or whoever that might be listening. And so it's like the other side of it is the ego is going to say, oh, you left one. Let's get that one. Oh yeah, you're right. Now that you see, you didn't do that positive one. You still have that one, and get you to go through all the loops. Okay. All I'm saying is the ego is going to use your creativity to keep you stuck. Got it?
Yeah, I got it. That creativity stuff, especially when you're
well, if you weren't so damn smart, if you weren't so damn creative, you wouldn't have this problem. Okay. So try laughing at it the next time and see what happens.
Okay.
Okay, very good.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I think that's it.
Someday I'll get to share in full.
Thanks, Cola. Definitely recommend it as many times as you can. I mean, every month or so I need Don's help.
And I am going to share something, whether Jamie did or not. I don't know what's that you had. The tough thing. Resistance. What's the name of that? It's the programming that you are. Yeah, yeah. So
just wanted me to admit it.
What?
You just wanted me to admit it.
So Jamie had severe narcissism, and that's one of the strongest personalities to deal with in this process. Okay.
First thing I thought when he said that was, fuck you, Don, you're a narcissist.
Spoken like a true narcissist.
Well, if it can wipe out that trait, I know somebody that it can help a lot.
Right. Is that you?
No, no, it's not me.
Or your wife?
Somebody used it. Used it to describe a close relative, and I didn't know that about that person, but I'd seen that there was a lot of challenges, and this person needs to go through this. So when I heard that, I mentioned the word narcissist because I think you had mentioned it one time before. I said, such and such person needs this program.
Well, just to put it in a metaphor, okay? Most people, it's like they use putty to get themselves stuck, but narcissism is concrete. Like that's the only difference. Okay, the only difference.
Good analogy.
Thanks, Kola. Dan, you got a question?
So in the beginning, there was the word. No, in the beginning of this webinar, you play music.
Yeah.
And I have learned that it's not the words, but the space between the words where life lives. And because you started this with music, as there's 432 and there is 440, to keep us in the secret zone, you can share if you choose. Do we have music that will keep us in the divine?
Yes.
Make my journey easier, Lord.
He's been trying now for 60 years.
Did I steal your your secret sauce for another webinar? Because I believe that when we're doing the music, our ego's not in play. If it's the right music. Thoughts?
Well, there'll always be a right or wrong with the ego. Okay.
I'm saying is you have music that one can listen to help this journey.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Is that on your website?
You'll have to ask one of the other guys. I have no idea.
Okay, Jamie, break out the secret sauce here. I need the music.
Well, we've been going every night, man. We got to save some secret sauces or we won't have anything left.
I think curiosity actually heightens the consciousness. Oh, I get you.
Well, you're doing a lot of thinking, Dan. May I suggest that you kind of put that on the side burner for now? Okay, and see what happens.
I'm in such bliss right now, I could pee my pants.
There. Wait, you go ahead and pee your
But
pants.
I need to go higher.
Emery.
All right, Harold, did you figure out how to unmute yet? Let's see his hand again. No? Okay. Alrighty. Well, that's a wrap. We will figure out when we can pull Don out of the mountains next time, and we'll do a live transformation for everyone. But really impressed with all of you sticking around and doing your best to get through everything. Really excited for where we all go together. Closing thoughts?
Well,
without thinking?
Yes, I am saying that there's a lot of awesome questions. That means that there's You know, it's like you're not stuck in an old program and challenging, and this doesn't make sense. And so that's the biggest thing, is just surrendering and just surrendering, and get the hell out of your head trying to analyze anything with that logic and reason. Okay, that's the biggie. Okay.
I was so ready for my process that the only question I had for Don was, when can we meet? That was my only question. I didn't ask him how he did what he did. I didn't understand a word he said ever. I just, when can we meet? I got to do this thing. Don't know what it is, but I got to do it.
Yeah, actually, I remember I had worked with my nephew on the East Coast that day, and I explained to him how I burst all these bubbles that this guy had, and he didn't know what I was talking. Okay, and
like I said, Chinese. I call him. I say, John, hey, when can we meet? And he goes, oh, it's just with someone popping bubbles, and this guy's saying, but hey, I'm coming to Vancouver.
Yeah, and once again, it's like the more you're asking questions, the more that you're in your head with logic and reason.
And he said to get the hell out of your head is the hell. So
yeah,
that's what created the hell. So
exactly.
Let that go, and you'll be smiling as big as Jamie.
And we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Those of you that are.
And for those of you that need some tech help getting your links and your crypto coins into piggy bank, Will and Kim are here to take over for the onboarding call. Will, did you put the link down below the onboard? Don, Sam, and I are gonna go outside and see what ET friends show up. Okay, well, they need the link.
It was a pleasure, everyone.
Yes.
Take care.
We'll get Tim to bring us home as usual. And the link you can find below in the chat. See you all tomorrow, same time. Man, we're gonna have to top this. I don't even know. Wow, way to go, Will. Doesn't even have to do anything.
When I look in the mirror, there's a man that I see who's been searching a lifetime for a way to be free, never knowing the darkness that was following me like a mutating virus, one that I couldn't see. And I breathed you in, and I fell again. I can see the end. Here I am now, I transcend. I want you to know I see who you are, and I'm letting go. You were everywhere, in my everything. I don't need you now. I was searching for answers, they were there all the time, but I just couldn't see them. In my heart I was blind. I believed in your story, now I know it wasn't true. And I see who I am now, and I know what to do. And I'm breathing in when I start again. I want you to know I see who you are, and I'm letting go. You were everywhere, in my everything. I don't turn around and go. I can't do this anymore. I want you to know I see who you are, and I'm letting go. You were everywhere, in my everything. I don't need you now. I want you to know that I let